almost running out of hands. It's live, and it's the Martin Fowler Scrum, and it is a Wednesday. And Brent is here, and I'm here. And let's start with me today. What on earth is going on? I have had some good time on website 1, cleaning up this spike to Rubify the Agile bot. Got all the Cucumber regressions passing today. There was a very tricky issue with like a leaking double that would stumped me for a little while, but is now resolved. And yeah, still more to do, but hopefully that can be finished by the end of the week. So not blocked there. Since then, I've got the new Adventure stickers, and we're sending those out to premium members if they send their addresses in, and that's all good fun. Right now, I'm just actually talking to the JetBrains people about our RubyMine licenses, and yeah, trying to work out. I've been reviewing Michael's pull request on the async voter project. I forgot to mention async voter to Paolo yesterday. He's a late riser. I've mentioned to him maybe we could do some pairing later today, but we'll see. I may have left it too late. We've got the Elixir mob coming up soon, and it's Wednesday, so we'll whether Paolo's around or not, we'll do an async voter review meeting later on this afternoon. That's me. Brent, how are things going with you?
Slowly, unfortunately. I'm using the embedded map as a learning exercise, selfishly for myself. But unfortunately, Fernando has not been available, so not really made any progress. We were supposed to be having a catch-up this evening, but unfortunately, his new job, he's got some after-hour events he needs to attend now today. So yeah, hopefully we will make some progress. But yeah, I think I may have a stab at doing this myself, and then see how that goes. But yeah, maybe at the end of the Scrum, I've got an idea to run by you as well. Not necessarily part of the Scrum, but yeah, if we've got time, that'd be good.
Yeah, great stuff. Good show. Excellent. Praveen is also here. Hey, Praveen, how are things going with you?
Good, Sam. So I've been working on the PR for MP database for the second project.
Yep.
Soon I'll give you the PR to review.
Great. Excellent. So you're not blocked?
No.
Fantastic. All right. Yes. Well, I think that's then our Scrum, unless there are other items to bring up. Oh yeah, I mean, I definitely need to be working on the AV102 stuff today. I mean, I need to pull, like, I did get a response from edX, and I just got to, like, kind of, this is difficult not drinking coffee. Normally I'd say, right, I need to drink coffee, and then I'll work it all out, but I'm not allowed to drink coffee. Well, unless I let myself. So confusing. Yeah, but things moving forward. Yeah, well, Brent, shall we have a look at the thing that you wanted to run by us?
Yes, can do. So let me share my screen first of all. So I was outside of Agile Ventures. I work on a personal project with a couple of other guys.
Yeah.
Which is a location-based application.
It looks really cool. Yeah.
So as part of what we do is we offer advertising.
Oh yeah.
On pages. So what I was thinking is if we could give some free links to any Agile Ventures sites that are location-based, because how it works is the client. So, for example, the local support site, their customer base is Harrow-based.
Right, exactly.
So we could pick a boundary within Harrow. So, for example, we're looking at the Harrow London Borough. And what we can do, the advertising platform we built allows us to add either an animated GIF or a JPEG or whatever, some sort of graphical advertisement, and it will go up here in the top right-hand corner.
Wonderful.
And basically, if any visitor clicks on any of or searches to any of these locations, so there's individual postcodes or postcode areas, sectors, etc., settlements within that boundary that the client has chosen, their advert and link would appear.
Cool.
So I offer that to any of the sites where it's relevant. All we need from them is is an image or a GIF and a link to where they want it to go.
Right. Wow.
It's
Wonderful.
there if people want to use it, you know. And
that's fantastically generous of you. And yes, I should see the client for local support on Friday, and I suspect she will be interested. Yes, so we can. That's wonderful. I was going to ask, and it's presumably it's UK specific. This site.
It is UK specific. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just going to take a note of that. That's great. Very, very cool. This is like, and what's the name of the site? Location Counts was the.
Yeah, it's just locationcounts.co.uk is the URL.
Cool. That's wonderful. Right. Yeah. Thank you so much. I guess I had in my mind, I'd imagined that the thing you wanted to run by me was a technical thing related to how the what's it called, the iframe thing would work. Obviously that's very, you know, but I'm not disappointed at all, because that's a wonderful offer. On that note, obviously, I mean, I think it's as we were talking about, very usual when people get jobs that they get extremely busy. Is the block at the moment that you feel that without Fernando's expertise that it's difficult to make progress, or that more that you don't want to work on it yourself until he's available?
I guess it's more of a confidence thing. It's you know, I've looked around the code base and I sort of understand it, but there's a lot in there I don't understand. So it's where to put the route, for example. You know, where's the right place to do that? Whereas, you know, somebody like Fernando, they're more familiar, having seen, because this is the first Rails project I've ever seen.
Sure,
you know.
sure, totally.
So yeah, it's more just of a confidence thing, I think.
Yes. No, that makes perfect sense. Totally. Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing I would say is, and of course, there's no rush. Particularly if Fernando is having, you know, he may be in a situation where the times are becoming available, becoming unavailable. We could try a kind of async thing in which we use the local support channel to just keep the discussion going on the different things. So, for example, that issue of like, where's the place to go in the roots file, that for this, we could try and sort of expose that, and that might also have the benefit of it being sort of valuable for other people in the local support community, and particularly people like Shan Deng, who, you know, is interested in sort of like getting it, but then also, you know, Stella and Cess and Ebba and everyone else. So yeah, I mean, we've got another 5 minutes here. If there's anything about, you know, that particular feature that you'd be interested in chatting about, we could be looking at different parts of the code base.
Yeah, so I think I've got an idea in my own head as to how we're going to do this. You know, so I've been thinking about the testing, because obviously that's going to be quite difficult from a point of view of the cross origin thing. How do you test for that? I mean, obviously we can test for that the embedded page is being presented and it's showing the appropriate content. There's the bit about the cross origin thing. I think we need to. I don't have a clue how we would test that, for example.
Yeah.
The other questions that are sort of swimming around are, yeah, where's the best place to put it? You know, create a new controller. Should it go into an existing controller? You know, how do we present a page without the layout? Because that's something I don't understand at the moment. I'm sure it's very simple, and and I'm sure if I Googled it, I would find it. But that's one of the questions that I need to answer. Yeah, it's just that sort of stuff, really.
Sure. Well, and I mean, maybe I'll just take, because we've got a couple of minutes, I'll take a stab at some of those things. What I would say with like testing that cross-origin browser thing is, I think that's not something that you can realistically test for in acceptance tests. We came up against it, you know, working on that JavaScript issue, that the nature of the problem, the nature of the fail state was such that we couldn't really wrap a acceptance test around it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that does happen sometimes. And I think cross-origin things, that it's sort of out of band, really. We'll have to like manually test that, and it'll be so obvious if it's working or not. Then, I mean, it may be that there's a particular setting that we end up having to have in the app that will support that, and we can maybe write a simple test that checks that that setting is in place. But I don't think we can really set up the infrastructure to do a complete acceptance level test on that. So my intuition is that we shouldn't worry about that too much. I don't know if that answers that question.
Yes.
Yeah, on the topic of the controllers, when we have a kind of a unique endpoint, I would generally say that that should go in its own controller or possibly in the application controller. I would say that the fundamental sort of expectation, it's not didn't have to do it, but the fundamental expectation with controllers in Rails is that in general, if you're in a pages controller, you're sort of assuming that that relates to a pages model, and that there is then a pages table in the database, and there is pages views and templates and so on, whatever. So any of the, if you've got like a one-off thing, like this is just going to be like, you know, map embedded, I think for me, it would be strange to put it in any of those controllers that are dealing with models, if you know what I mean. And we can see going through here, like all of these things, volunteer ops, users, user reports, sessions, I think even registrations, all of these are, including mail templates, invitations, events, do it. This is one possible exception here, do it organizations, but that's where we've got like do it organizations are a kind of third-party entity. They're still kind of like somewhere, if not in our database, there's in someone's database. So all of these things kind of correspond to that. The exception is the application controller, which everybody inherits from. So, you know, we've got the option ends up being we could, it would not make so much sense to put it in here because like the embedded endpoint, we don't want that to be available in all of the controllers. We just want it to be its own kind of thing. So there might be, I mean, you know, a map controller is an interesting way to go. That connects up to the issue of the roots. And so for me, what I would be tempted to do with the roots here is I would be tempted to add a custom root to the very like top here and just do get, and I don't even know about, I need to remember the syntax for this, but I could just do get / embedded, and then I might do, and so it's a little bit small, isn't it? Let's make it bigger. Something like, and even like, obviously I have the advantage that I've been doing Rails for quite a long time, but I as I was saying actually to the people in the autograders meeting, I don't keep any of Rails in my head. I think there's like little layers of bits and pieces, but I couldn't, like without actually looking at the roots file, remember the syntax for what we want to do here. But yeah, so we could probably then just go like this and say, let's have a mapped controller and have an endpoint that's called embedded, or maybe we call it iframe or whatever we do, like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Is sort of where I start. Go on.
Would there be so calling the controller maps, would there be a future situation or future scenario where we might have other data that we offer as an embedded iframe? So, you know, should we think around having more of an embedded controller and then have a maps
could be
action? Or
could be. I mean, yes. I mean, I was thinking that this is the thing there where it's like it's almost impossible to make it future proof because it might be the case that we want lots of different things that are sort of embeddable, and or I was thinking more along the line of, well, the maps controller might have a default map that it displayed, and what we might have in the future is we might have models in the database that represent maps. So there's kind of like a particular kind of like a map boundary, right, that we wanted to display, and then that map controller will be managing those. I think you're absolutely right. There's this way that we could go where we say, oh yeah, like we might want to display the list at some point in the future. But if we were displaying the list, right, that's a list of organizations. And so I might almost argue there that that should then be a specific endpoint in the organizations controller. And we might do, you know, organizations. And actually, as I say that, I mean, it almost makes it seem like the sensible way to go might be to do something like this. And so, because if we think about it as organizations, it's volunteer ops that we care about, isn't it? So, volunteer ops. It actually might be, the way to go might be this, because effectively the thing that this, if we think about beyond the embedding is just a view on a set of volunteer ops, isn't it?
Yeah, that was something I was thinking about as well.
Yeah. That said, I wouldn't worry too much. It seems to me that the trickiest part of this feature is, like you say, it's the cross-site scripting, what have you. So, even if it although this might be the best future-proof sort of thing from what we can currently know, of course we can't perfectly know the future. I almost, before I worried about that too much, I would have probably, just done something random. Like I would almost say, like, because we can check, at least at this stage, we can kind of change it so easily. You know what I mean? Like if we put a single controller in there and we demonstrate in a spike that we can actually make the whole cross-site scripting thing work, and that we can actually display it using Rails in a third-party website, right? That's the kind of key thing. This sort of stuff, we can jiggle up, but there's in my mind, the big potential blocker is whether this can work at all. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. And in which case, then any discussion of this becomes somewhat, it's still interesting, but somewhat academic. And of course, we're hopeful that this will all work, and then we can get into those things. But
okay, yeah. Now, in that case, I will maybe have a play later today and create a pull request so we can look at it and discuss it further.
No, cool. Yeah, and feel free to more discussions in Slack and or pull in other folks if you fancy pairing or what have you. Good show. Great chatting about that. All right. Yes. Well, I think that's then our Scrum there. Yeah, I think I'm time for a cup of tea and a bagel with peanut butter and cucumber on it.
Cool.
It's for me. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day. There might be some pairing later on, Brent. If you're interested, I'll let you know if it's happening.
Definitely interested. Yeah.
See you guys when I see you.
Yep. Have a good day.
Bye for now.
Cheers, Praveen. Thanks. Bye.